I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic before authority. Today we're going to talk about something I talked about some before, but I'm continuing to do research on it, and that is have to do with volcanoes and ancient giant trees. And as you can hear, my voice is still a little raspy, but a little bit better. One thing I figured out is that I had to cut off dairy products. Doing a little digging and researching on it, and well, it causes phlegm, the buildup of phlegm in your body, and that's what's going on with my voice. And I cut it off a couple of days ago, and it's I can tell a difference already. So if you're having phlegm problems, or maybe if you're having lung problems or anything, you might want to reconsider dairy. I mean, think about it, and I had to think about it. How long do you reckon we're supposed to stay on the breast in our lives? I mean, I've always loved milk. I have. I also thought, why is it that milk is consistently affordable? What is it they do to milk? You know, the pasteurization is bad. Of course, they claim it's good, just like everything else that's bad. According to them, it's good, and everything that's good is bad. But that's not the main subject. Today, we're going to just look a little bit at the volcanoes. And if you don't know the underlying theory that I have, it's really more than a theory at this point. But see, we used to have giant ancient trees in this world. And kind of like that, for instance, a giant ancient tree. Okay. And the trees that we have today are nothing but basically bushes or brush in comparison to these trees. It's biblical, for one. And it's not only just biblical, it can be seen even if you look at our world and realize that our world, everything, including the continents that we live on, everything was alive at some point. This is the North Pole. And there are many maps that show the North Pole having something that looks like a giant tree stump in the center of the North Pole. And this is a map from the 1560s, I think it was, something like that. Here's another one that shows it up here at the top as well. And supposedly there is a area in the middle of this ancient tree stump that is magnetic, which makes sense as well once you understand the things that I've come to understand about the makeup of trees and all the details thereof. Here's another one. Here's another one. It's more laid out flat here. You can see the rivers coming out, 4 rivers, just like the 4 arteries that come out of your heart. Most anything in this world, if you want to prove it, you can find it in your body as well as in the world. Here's another one showing it, the 4 rivers that are in the North Pole coming out of a center tree stump. These are maps that were designed hundreds of years ago by map makers. Here's another one. Right here's the center. Okay. So I'm just not coming out of nowhere with this. These are what's called basalt columns. Best example in the United States is the tree stump that's in, what is it, Arizona? The Devil's Tower. And the trees today are made up of fibers just like this. Okay. Now, mainstream science would tell you that these are just simply, this is volcanic. A volcanic lava flow created this. When it cooled, they split into perfect hexagonal shapes. That's what they would tell you. Here's another hint right here as well, with a waterfall coming out of the middle, because if they're ancient trees, they would have been piping systems that would be designed for bringing up water into the tree. And we have many places in the world that have unlimited amounts of water flowing down off the top of mountains with waterfalls. As I said before, it's time to remember. Okay? Now, what I've kind of tied a couple of things together here, looking further and further, is that we already know that gold is found in quartz. Okay? And quartz is the sap of the tree, the blood of the tree. But it's crystallized over time and pressure, and you might say petrified. But the gold is in the quartz. It's in the blood of the tree. And all that energy gets ultimately stored underground in the tree, in the root system. Like you can see depicted here. Let's say this is a giant tree, and over time it either dies or is cut down, possibly, because there's much evidence of them. These giant trees, like Devil's Tower, looks like a giant tree stump that was cut down. The Bible talks about the angels working at the trees. It doesn't say they cut them down, but it sure looks like it. Somewhere back around the time of, or just before maybe Noah. But all that energy that is stored in the tree roots, like here in the South, we can find lighter wood or fat wood. And it's wood that is, if you smell it, it smells like gasoline. It's basically liquid sun stored in the earth, in the root systems of the trees. And over time, sometimes, depending on the type of tree, the location, the conditions, they can turn into what we call a volcano, the lie that we were sold about the volcanoes. And that pressure can build up, and sometimes water intrusions happen where water is exposed directly to this extremely hot mix of tree sap or liquid sun, and you get a big explosion. Boom, you get a volcano erupting, and the process repeats over time. But specifically today, I wanted to look at this. Just one more step, one more piece of proof that if volcanoes are ancient trees, that there should be basalt columns at many or most or all, because sometimes maybe they're not exposed where you can see them. But if the volcanoes are trees, ancient trees that have that liquid sun stored underground, and when I say if, I really don't mean if to me. I'm speaking in a way that makes this more acceptable maybe to someone that doesn't get this shit. I already get it. I already know it. I've already found tree stumps that are volcanic around the world that look identical to a tree stump. And they say, oh, it's volcanic. Really? And it's got basalt columns. Okay. But I wanted to look further because I've got to create a documentary called The Secrets of the Trees that's going to include this kind of stuff, but not just this. There's many secrets of the trees, which is why there was the tree in the midst of the garden of the knowledge of good and evil. So on the left, these are volcanoes or volcanic systems known to have basalt columns. Okay? On the left. I have another one as well that I'm going to show you. I thought I had it pulled up, but I'll see if I can find it here. That also includes that they have gold mines at the locations as well. And I definitely want to find that image because I want y'all guys to see that image. Let me grab it real quick. Here it is. I thought I had it pulled up, but just in case I don't, let's go ahead and put it right there. I guess I did have it pulled up. It's right over here. Okay, that's fine. But first, let's look at this one, the basalt columns. The other one has basalt columns and has gold mines at the volcano. Okay. We have Mount Etna. Let me see if I can zoom this up just a little bit more. Mount Etna. Maybe I'm in a little bit too much. Mount Fuji. Hula Loa volcano. Mauna Loa. Kilauea. All of these, like Hawaii. Hawaii, the big island of Hawaii, is just a giant tree stump. The tree stump was 60 miles across. Okay. How big of a canopy would you have? And also, how big of a root system would you have if the tree was 60 miles across in diameter? Huh? That would be a big tree, wouldn't it? Wouldn't be as big as the one in the north, but it'd be big. You've got a Skaftafell volcanic area in Iceland. You've got Antrim Plateau, Providence, in Northern Ireland, where the Giant's Causeway is at, where you have, it's just basalt columns everywhere. You've got Yellowstone in Wyoming. You've got the canyon basalt flows, or as they call them, flows. It's just where the tree fibers are exposed, is all it is. We've got the Long Valley volcanic system in California, where there is a place called Devil's Postpile. You've got Cascade volcanic Providence, which is in Idaho, a little bit in Oregon and Washington, and there are basalt columns there as well. You've got Deccan volcanic Providence in India, massive basalt areas there as well. You've got them in all over the world. I mean, here is just 25 examples. Okay. 25 examples. Over here is just some more examples of all the different areas that have the basalt and have the volcanoes. But let's look at this. This is a list of volcanoes that have gold mines. This is just another piece of the pie. So they have the basalt and they have the gold in the rock. And as we know, we've heard the term gold veins. haven't we? Gold veins. Is it a vein of something where a life blood flowed, like a tree root, where the sap of the tree flowed? Or the vein in your arm where your blood flows? Our world works similarly the same way our bodies work. Okay, you have to understand that. And it's a long, deep thought process to get your mind around it, in which I'm still doing. I ain't there, but I'm working on it. And I try to bring it to you free of charge, to everyone that watches, all of this information. However, I do have people that support my work, like Kimberly G. She's sponsored this today, and she is a producer. She donates an amount every month, and that makes her a producer, and she gets credited, Kimberly G., for being partly responsible for the fact that this work even happens. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this, and nobody'd ever have a clue, unless the ones that know, they know, which ain't us, that what volcanoes truly are. They're ancient, giant tree stumps where the liquid sun is still in the ground, still boiling away, still holding that energy that smells like gasoline. Yes. So these volcanoes like Mount Etna in Italy, Iso Elba in Tuscany, Italy, the Lyra or something like that, island volcanoes in Papua New Guinea, the Tava caldera in Fiji, the Icelandic volcanic system in Iceland, let me zoom this up a little bit, the Andes volcanic arc in Peru, the Tongariro volcanic complex in North Island, New Zealand, the Tabu volcanic zone in North Island, New Zealand. See, all these have basalt columns, tree fibers, and gold that flowed in the quartz, which was the blood of the tree. There's parts of this that you have to get and understand at some point. Do your own research. Do your own praying. Do your own thinking. We don't want to remain ignorant our whole life. Knowledge is the greatest thing you can learn in this life. It ain't money. It ain't a big house. It ain't the most beautiful guy or the most beautiful girl. It ain't nothing this world has to offer. It's knowledge, because knowledge will lead you to the truth and set you free, set your soul free from this hell pit that you end up in otherwise. Wherever that is or what form it's in, might be just staying here. Just like the fallen angels are trapped here. Just like the demonic souls that inhabit many of our, if not all of our politicians in this world. And celebrities. What are they? Stars. They're stars. What's another word for star? Angel. Where does that come from? The Bible. They're fallen. They're stars. They're fallen stars. They're saying, I am a off product of a fallen angel because I'm a star. They get the star on the filthy walkway in LA that I've been to a number of times. I would never go again. Cascade Volcanic Arc in Montana. Cripple Creek in Colorado, Nevada volcanic fields in Nevada, Long Valley caldera in California, the Canary Islands, the Galapagos volcanic area in Ecuador, the Azores volcanic complex in Portugal, Western Australia, the Akatana volcanic complex in New Zealand, the Kamakacha in Russia, the Ba volcanic in Sabah, Malaysia, and the list goes on. This is just 20, okay? There are many other examples all around the world where this exists, where there is gold at the volcano. And there's also tree fibers, basalt columns, because that's what it is. You can believe science, which is a religion, like Scientology. You can believe science if you want to, which perverts everything upside down and backwards. You can believe them, or you can do your own research and figure it out for yourself. Most everything we were told in school growing up was a lie or a brainwashing to keep us down. And they were feeding us poisons the whole time and still are. If you don't realize this, we are in the apocalypse. We are in the end times. And we have been there for quite a while, from at least 1900. The white horse has been riding for at least from 1900. Going out pretending to be righteous, wearing white jackets, saying, I'll take care of you, I'll help you. And then what? No, they want to give you a free needle. Yeah, I know. I keep repeating it because I have to. Because what I do for work is not for entertainment. Okay? This is serious, serious business. This is also related to this image here, the world's long-burning underground fires. The world's, and the proper spelling of the word world is WHIRLD. World, like something spinning. No, the world itself isn't spinning, but the energy is, and everything around us is spinning. The sky spins, the sun and moon spin, everything spins. And you can prove that by looking inside the human body, and you'll find the same thing. So underground fires in Bremenderberg, there's what's called a burning mountain in Saarland, Germany. They say it's a coal seam fire. And what coal is ancient tree roots as well. You ever heard of a coal vein? Kind of like the gold veins. Why is it that coal is also in veins? That's where they dig it up from, out of veins. It's because it comes from the same source. It just didn't turn into a volcano at that specific area. It's still got the energy stored. It's still got the fire from the sun stored in the ground. That's what coal is, okay? It's the same thing for oil and all other petro type stuff. In Pennsylvania, there's one called Centrala, and it's an underground mine fire. Began in 1962 when a trash fire ignited an abandoned coal mine. The underground fire continues to burn to today, and it forced the town to be abandoned. The one that was in Bremenderberg, it was a coal fire believed to have been burning since the late 1600s. And a legend, like a myth, maybe there's some truth to it. Legend says a shepherd set a tree stump on fire, and the fire spread underground and has never gone out. Yeah, it was a tree stump. See, there's truth in that. Jaharia coal fire in Jharkhand, India. Another coal seam fire. Another tree stump fire. And it's been burning since around 1916, they say. It says they burn beneath the villages and towns, causing ground collapse and toxic fumes and displacement. Then there's the one in Mount Wigan, called Burning Mountain, in New South Wales, Australia. Another coal seam fire, tree stump fire. Natural coal seam fire, estimated to have been burning for around 6,000 years. Smoke and flames emerge from multiple fissures. And then we've got Powder River Basin in Wyoming and Montana, on the kind of on the line there, and it's another coal vein or seam, and it's been burning for, they think, thousands of years. And then the Laurel Run Mine fire, Pennsylvania, also underground fire that's been burning in an abandoned coal mine for about 50 years. Another tree stump fire. Yanar, Dag, and I can't even pronounce that country, Azerbaijan, something like that. And this one is a natural gas fire, a hillside that has been burning with natural gas flames for thousands of years. A hillside. It's the gas coming up from below, and the hill is likely some remnants of either a tree or something biological like that existed there. Normally a tree, because it takes a tree, the density of the fibers, in order for it to remain contained like that. Darvanza gas crater in Turkmenistan. Natural gas fire, they call it the door to hell. Natural gas crater has been burning continuously since 1971. So what you have, and what I'm trying to show you here, is more evidence of what our world really is, okay? And what the mountains are. Why there are waterfalls coming out of the mountains. But the real thing is why do they hide this from us? Why not admit it? There's a reason. There's more than one reason, probably. And we're going to find it. I got ideas already, but we'll get there. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to keep it kind of short today. I could keep right on going. This is all stuff that's going to be going into my secrets of the trees. The trees and how they match the golden ratio and their Fibonacci sequence and everything about them are all like that. But I'll get into that as we move forward. And ultimately, it's all going to go into a hopefully well done documentary. Okay. Just show you some of the images here in case you wanted to see them. I normally share all these images on my community post on YouTube. Some of them need to have some corrections made. Like this image is not correct. Some of the numbers here I've got to correct and everything. So if you see something that looks weird, there's a reason why. Well, I'm even looking at the elemental makeup, like the cedars, or really most of the large trees that we know of that exist or have existed. I'm looking at all the minerals and elements and ultimately comparing them to things like a volcano or things like oil, gas, petrol, all these kind of coal, all this stuff. And I can see already it's virtually all the same. Here's a fig tree, looking at its composition. And I actually think, speaking of the fig tree, nope, that's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go right here. The fig tree, I think, is actually this. In the midst of the garden, we know that there was a fig tree because there were fig leaves, right? According to the story. And the way a fig tree's root system would match very much so for this have been a fig tree in the midst of the garden at the North Pole. And if you don't understand how that can work, you still don't quite understand what the Bible says about our world. But you will. It takes time. And that's all we got right now is time. Thank you again to Kimberly. And if you'd like to support my work, all the links are down below, various different ways you can do it. And if you donate any amount, it could be $1 one month and $20 the next, or whatever your number is, because everybody's situation is different. But if you do, you'll be included as a producer, credited in my videos like this.
I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.